You kind of, obviously did your own thing, but we haven't really heard too much of you in the last decade or so. So literally, like I didn't know what to really expect when I first contacted you, and I kind of started doing my research, and I saw these YouTube videos, and like I cannot say enough about these videos that I saw with DDP and the transformation and just the complete resurrection of you. And I cannot, again, I'm going to say it again and again because these videos, the redemption of you and Marcus, and as well
Yes.
as
Yeah.
everything, inspiring, motivational. Like I really had no idea about what you were up to like 2 3 years ago. I've always been wondering like, oh, I wonder what Scotty Riggs is up to. But seeing these videos, like, again, I can't say enough. Like, what was that journey like from being where you were about a year and a half ago to maybe even being where you were a year ago?
Part of the backstory you got to understand, for a good 10-year period, I was living on Hilton Head. I kind of in wrestling, out of wrestling, doing a few things here and there, but kind of got more into a business life, started life where I was in the food business industry where I was running a couple clubs, managing them, bouncing out, and doing all different type of things that every facet of running that part was. Lived a pretty good life. My mom ended up getting ill,
Mm.
and Hilton Head was here. Savannah was right here, about 45 minutes away. And within a short period of time after my mom got ill, about 2016, 2017, that time frame, she needed a 24/7 caregiver. I had an older brother who lived in Atlanta. He didn't have the ability, but I had the ability to kind of pack my stuff up and move down to Savannah, move back there into the home, the family home, basically take care of my mom. My dad passed away in '04. And so basically my new lifestyle, my new investment was into my mom, taking care of her. She took care of me for the biggest chunk of my life early on. So she needed someone to help take care of her. And she got real ill for a period of time that's been about first 6 months, maybe 7 months at a time in the hospital, in a rehab facility before she actually came home because she had what they called C. diff, was like an internal infection. She ended up had being admitted to the hospital with her kidneys failing, fluid on her heart, and blood in her lungs. She ended up getting put in the ICU. And this is a 76, 77-year-old lady who had pretty good health, was a vibrant, living life vibrantly at that age. But still, when you have that much happen internally, it gets to be major taxing on your energy levels and stuff like that. But she went through the next couple years of her life where she would hit a 4 5 6 month span where she was getting independence again to her life. She was doing this. She had gained strength back. I'd help get her diabetes under control through diet and stuff. And then she'd hit her snag again, and it'd be another 4 5 6 months back in the hospital, back in physical therapy, then back home. Then she rebuild again, then something again. And just that roller coaster ride took a lot out of her to where November of 2020, she basically had a minor stroke. And when you have she was 82 at the time, and there's no such thing as a minor stroke. And this is also during COVID or right after COVID, where we spent that year and a half, whatever you want to call it, pretty much isolated. I'm completely taking care of her, no break, except for maybe when she was in the hospital. I was the only person who could see her since she had no other company but me. And when she passed away after the stroke, December 17th of 2020, I pretty much I had not been able to work out for the longest time. I had not been able to do anything. So I just become a shell of who I was. Just no energy, not working out, just a lump of clay, and pretty much just trying to regain some sort of mentality. But a lot of times it's hard to do that on your own. Regain some shred of my former self, and I just had no energy. I had all my life had been sucked out of me, giving it to my mom. And again, it's nothing against my mom, but it's just when you give that much yourself to somebody else and they pass away. I spent about a year and a half just trying to again find out who I was, regain something. I was doing DDPY every day, but not really working out. I was doing flexibility stuff, stretching and stuff like that, but not really working out like you should. And I'd come to a point in time where I pretty much just financially, all my money had gone from where I was going to make an investment in my mouth, make an investment in finding another place to live. I had a good chunk of change, but that chunk of change disappeared because I had to retrofit my mom's house into wheelchair capacity, little ramps here, redid her bathroom to be capable for her to use, that type of thing, or lean doors. So I did a lot of stuff to take care of the house, especially before COVID hit. And just basically redid her house, and that took a big chunk of change. And so my finances were really drained, and the house got foreclosed on. So I basically lost my house. I had a car and a cat, and I was living in my car for about 5 or 6 weeks at a time. And I had found a spot on a softball field, basically. And that's where I was pretty much had encamped and called home. It was safe at night. It was dark. Fell asleep at 9 o'clock and woke up every morning at 6:30 when the sun came up. So I had pretty, a schedule of some sort. I was trying to do things back and forth, but I was just existing. Pretty much also come to a point where I was pretty much what's the best way to put this? I pretty much accepted my fate where I just was not going to be living much longer and was very suicidal thoughts, a lot of depression, and was like, well, just trying to I was tired of existing, basically. And that's where I was at the point in my life where I'd actually gotten a text from Marcus saying, "Hey, Dark Side of the Ring is going to do my story and looking to maybe interview you for part of the show." I said to Marcus the text back, "Dude, I live in my car. So I don't think they're really interested in interviewing me because they really got nowhere to be, nowhere to do the interview type thing." And kind of thought that would be the end of it. But maybe 15, 20 minutes later, my phone rings. It's Marcus. And we're going, "Dude, you're in your car. What?" And all this back and forth in a conversation with him. And I did not know at the time, but he was at Dallas Page's accountability crib in Atlanta. And Steve Yu is Dallas's right hand man. Everyone that I've ever talked to that I've met along the way over the past year or so, like a Steve Austin, some of the other guys, they all talk about Dallas as Steve Yu. They all want to have a Steve Yu, a guy who is a creative thinker, a problem solving thinker, a businessman thinker. His mind just works very, very in depth wise. And so they have done the Jake story. They've done Scott Hall, Butterbean, a couple other situations that they worked with Marcus and other people on the way. So they were good at telling the story of what's going on with somebody. So Steve was like, "Let's record this phone call." And again, I didn't know the phone call was being recorded. And it's that phone call that when you see Marcus, talking to me, and I'm very much nonchalant. Again, I kind of accepted my fate in life at the point where Marcus is like, "You live in your car?" I'm like, "Yeah, no big deal. I'm sleeping in my car. Been here 5, 6 weeks, this, that, and the other." And got really emotional about, possibly take my own life and everything that was going on. And so the one thing, if you ever do get in suicidal thoughts, don't just do like I was doing. Think I can just handle it myself and just was getting ready to check out. Reach out to people, talk to somebody, especially if they call you, you know, answer the phone and speak to them. That's basically what happened with Marcus. Marcus would not let me get off the phone. He browbeat me into submission almost, into coming to Atlanta. I made an excuse. I need tires in my car. I made an excuse. I don't have the money to make the trip up. I made every excuse, but give me a week when I get my disability in. I'll be able to have money. I'll be able to have tires. Mark was like, bullshit. I'll get money for you. I'll put some cash in your thing. We'll get tires in your car. Get up here tomorrow. So I hung out with him. And Marcus is like, "He's not coming. I know Scotty. He's not going to accept this. He's too stubborn." So to kind of put a little bow on that part of the story is then I call Mark back and say, "Okay, I have the appointment at 8 o'clock in the morning, get tires for my car at Firestone. And when they get done with that, it'll be about 11 o'clock, 12, and I'll head up to Atlanta." And Marcus is like, "Well, I'll be coming back down from Chattanooga. We'll be getting in about 7 o'clock at night. Here's the address. Kind of go to the crib, work for you to do to get up there, but get up there." And so that was in about mid-March of 23. And so basically, from that point on, I met with Dallas, and Dallas sat down with us and said, "Scotty, the only thing I want you to do to pay me back is to take this time and become the best you can be." Marcus started helping me with working out my diet. Steve Hughes started helping me more of my thinking process. Dallas is working out with me doing DDPY, cold tub plunge therapy, all these little things that I didn't have before started being, lined up in front of me. Here are your options. Here's some things you can do. What you're going to do. It rang in my ears the entire time. Dallas just saying, "Be the best you can be." Is the only way. Is the only payment I'm taking back. Is how I want you to pay me back. And within that next 6 months, I would wake up the first one in the morning up at 7:30, which I kind of was doing on my own anyway, just naturally. Cup of coffee. I do an hour of cardio and elliptical in the mornings. I just started doing it. I just said, well, now's the time for me to put the work in. And that's the biggest thing is you got to put the work in yourself. Somebody can't do the work for you. They can give you the guidance, they can give you tools, but unless you put the work in, there's going to be no results. So I started doing that. I was doing DDPY for another hour. I was doing my diet. I started eating better and was working out with Steve and Marcus at night. And so every little thing started getting put in motion, doing all the right steps. And I was in that first picture, you could tell I had no shoulders, no chest, no arms. And I was weighing 241 with a 38-inch waist. Within 6 months, plus I had no tan. I was pasty white, kind of like both of our shirts. I was, you could turn off a light and I still glowed before I started fading out. So I tanned and I dropped about 3.5 inches on my waist in 6 months. And again, my flexibility was better from just doing DDPY to actually doing DDPY workouts, doing the workouts. And again, everything kind of that was those first two where I still had the beard. That's 6 months later. That's like the middle picture. The before 6 months and the final picture without me shaved, that's 9 months. There I am. That's probably about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks ago, with a 34, a little over 34-inch waist. And I got my smile back in that
Yeah.
time frame, also between that bearded picture and that picture, where with Nuvia, they pretty much gave me a $50,000 smile for putting the work in. They saw that the transition in my life, how everything had changed, and the only thing was lacking was the smile and the confidence that a smile gives you. The confidence being able to walk up and tell my story like I'm kind of telling you guys, where there is a life-changing event where I went from being in the middle of darkness to where there's a light switch on, there's a fire in my eyes again. To be able to tell that, that was the one key thing that was lacking. And Dallas knew that, Steve knew that, Marcus knew that. So everything kind of came into place with that happening. And now it's like I definitely have a new purpose in my life where